So if we look at America, we see that there's supposed to be a country for God. It's even written on their money in Latin about God and whatnot, which is just so paradoxical. It's insane. The culture in the US, everyone claims to be for God and country, but the culture in the US does not say that at all. In fact, it says the complete and total opposite. The big problem on earth and why earth is as decrepit and sinful as it is today is because people have removed God out of the equation. If you remove God out of the equation and the Bible basic instructions before leaving earth out of the equation, you have no guidance, you have no moral code, you have nothing. Of course, I don't agree with everything in the Bible, but in terms of the instructions, I most certainly do agree with them. Love thy neighbor and so forth and so on, compassion, empathy, gratitude. These are all really amazing things that are very important and very real towards our spirit, our life, our vitality, and our energy. And, for instance, like one of the things like there should, adultery was one of the 10 commandments that Moses had given on a stone. Now, Moses was right when he had come down that mountain with those rules. Very basic principles and rules, which literally determine whether society deteriorates or whether it flourishes into a loving society with people with high levels of compassion and empathy, and people who ultimately care too much about others and the feelings of others in order to hurt other people, ultimately heaven on earth, which I believe we are heading towards, because one way or another the world is humbling people to learn, and God is humbling people to learn that there are laws that are put in place for your own protection and the protection of other people. And because we've thrown God out of the equation, we've thrown the guidelines and these laws out of the equation, laws that we should have written within our heart in order to determine our own moral code. And there's an importance to that because it's about your spirit. If you're doing things that are damaging your spirit, you're damaging your life, you're damaging your vitality, you're damaging your health on every single level you can imagine. So those laws are like universal laws that are put in place in order to protect consciousness beings from being hurt and from hurting others, so that we begin to not live in a world that's predicated upon narcissism, greed, ego, and all these bad psychological traits that lead people towards disregarding God, disregarding empathy of others and the feelings of others, disregarding the emotions of others, and ultimately, doing things that do not sit in alignment with the compassion that your spirit requires in order to be healthy and operating normally and naturally. Humans are not operating naturally because for as long as their compassion is offline, that means that a huge aspect of their own spirit is offline, and it will be offline in their life, and they will experience the subsequent byproducts of that, the results, the karma, because every cause has an effect. And the Bible also teaches that. These laws exist. They're universal laws that our society actually requires in order to develop and evolve to the point where we don't live in a narcissistic environment full of envy, hate, greed, and jealousy, and people that would sell you down the drain for their own personal interest without taking you or your feelings or other people into consideration. It's just about manipulation, oppression, and control in order to fuel narcissistic desires. The 7 sins, which are fueled by narcissistic desires. to validate feelings of emptiness that we have inside of ourselves, and that emptiness exists because you don't have God in your life. If you don't have God in your life, you will feel empty. Your life will feel empty. Your emotions will feel empty. You'll feel lost. You'll feel unguided. You'll feel unprotected. You know? So, you know, God exists, and these laws exist for that reason, to protect you, to protect your life, and to create a divine, natural balance of consciousness beings, which it is that we are, who are all interconnected, made in the image of God. So it's important that we behave accordingly, because if we don't, we behave in a distortive energy, and that distortive energy creates distortions, issues, and problems within our life. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and head on over to Patreon, to my private blog, for as little as $1. Thank you.